Hello everyone, this is V. Uday Kumar, Assistant Professor of Physics working in Dr. B.R. Government College at Kerala. So in today's video lesson, we will discuss a very important topic in the chapter of magnetostatics. These are the topics that we are going to discuss today. So the first one is Biot-Savart's law, and we try to find the magnetic field induction due to a straight conductor carrying current by using Biot-Savart's law. So these are the topics that we are going to deal today. So first of all, we try to understand what is Biot-Savart's law, and then next, by using Biot-Savart's law, we try to determine the magnetic field induction due to a straight conductor carrying current. Okay, so whatever that I am dealing today, they are very important for your board examination. Okay, so fine. So what is Biot-Savart's law? So that we try to understand now first of all. So this is Biot-Savart's law. Okay, so what is Biot-Savart's law? You all know that a current carrying conductor produces magnetic field around it. So this was experimentally found by Oersted, right? So Oersted experimentally found that a current carrying conductor produces magnetic field around it. So okay, so this is Oersted experiment, and the next, so let us assume that this is a current carrying conductor. Okay, so let me take I don't know. Okay, so let us assume that this is a current carrying conductor. So that means there is a wire in which the current that is flowing in it is I. So we call this as a current carrying conductor. So Oersted found that a magnetic field is produced around it, right? So for example, if I take this, so since the current is flowing in upward direction, so the magnetic lines of forces are produced like this. So this is what Oersted found. Okay, right? So this is what Oersted found. Anyway, in the year of 1820, Biot and Savart performed a series of experiments to study the behavior of magnetic field around the conductor due to different currents. So you know that a current carrying conductor produces magnetic field around it. So this is found by Oersted. But Biot and Savart, what they have done is that with the experiment, that means with the help of a series of experiments, they tried to give an expression or a relation for that magnetic field of induction in terms of currents. Okay, so they tried to derive, in simple words you can say that Oersted only found that the current carrying conductor produces magnetic field, but he could not give any kind of mathematical expression between their relation. Okay, but Biot and Savart performed several experiments to give a relation between a magnetic field in terms of current. So that relation is called as Biot-Savart. So this is Biot-Savart law. So Biot-Savart law, Biot and Savart, these are the two scientists who tried to give the relation of this magnetic field that is arised around a current carrying conductor in terms of current. That means the relation between magnetic field induction and the current is given by Biot and Savart, and that mathematical expression or relation is called as Biot-Savart law. So what is that Biot-Savart law? We try to understand. Okay, let me erase everything. So I have erased everything now. So let us assume that this is a current carrying wire or current carrying conductor. To understand the mathematical expression or relation of that magnetic field induction in terms of current, we have to choose a small length element of the wire. Okay, so this is the length element of the wire that I am choosing here. So this is dl. So this is the length element, we call it as the length element. So if you take it mark, so This is called as the length element that I am choosing here. And in this length element, the current will be flowing, right? The current that is flowing through this length element is called is taken as I. So this IDL is called as current element. We call it as the current element. So as per Oersted, a current carrying conductor or element, whatever it may be, it produces magnetic field around it, right? So that means due to this entire wire, the magnetic field will be produced around it. But to understand the expression of magnetic field, we are choosing a small element here, which we call it as current element, and mathematically it is denoted by IDL. Anyway, next one is that let us assume that this is a point P which is present at a distance of small r due to this length element or current element. So now let us assume that this is the point P which is present at a distance of small r from the length element. So try to get it. And then next one, so since and due to this current element, you know that there will be some magnetic field induction. Let me erase everything. There will be some magnetic field induction at this point P due to this length element, and that magnetic field induction is taken as dB. So now dB is the magnetic field induction that is produced due to this current element. So if you know the formula of magnetic field induction that is produced at this point P due to this current element, what you do, you just integrate this mathematical expression that you get, you automatically get the total magnetic field induction that is arised or produced due to this entire wire or current wire. So to do integration, first of all you need to have the formula for the magnetic field induction that is produced due to this current element. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. That means we are taking the help of mathematics to understand or to get or to find the total magnetic field induction at this point P due to this entire current carrying wire. So now coming to this one. So this is okay. So here let us assume that the angle between the current element and the R, which is the distance of point P from the current element, is theta. So theta is the angle between current element and small r. So that you try to understand here. So this is the basic understanding of the current and the magnetic field that is produced at a particular point P which is present at a distance of r. So now mathematically what Biot and Sawat found is that they found that the magnetic field induction, which is dB at point P due to this current element, is found to be directly proportional to I. So this is what they found. They observed that the magnetic field induction that is produced at this point P is found to be directly proportional to the current that is flowing in this wire. And what else they found? They found that the magnetic field induction at point P due to this length element is found to be again directly proportional to the length elements itself. That means if dl is taken longer, dB also found to be that means larger. That means if dl increases, dB also increases. Similarly, if current that is flowing in the wire increases, dB also increases. Okay. And what else they have found? They found that the dB is found to be directly proportional to the sine of the angle between dl and r. So this is what they found. That means dB was found to be directly proportional to sine theta. And similarly, they also found that dB is inversely proportional to r square. That means if point P is moved away from the wire, that means if r increases, dB is found to be decreased. So these are the relations of dB with respect to different quantities that are present in this diagram. Okay, so what they observed is written mathematically over here. So they found that dB was directly proportional to I, and dB was directly proportional to dl, and dB was directly proportional to sine theta, and they also found that dB is inversely proportional to r square. So if you combine all these equations, the quantities, that means these are the four observations they have made, right? Okay, so these are the observations they have made, and if you combine all these equations into one, you get dB we can write dB which is directly proportional to I dl sin theta by r square. This is how we can write uh, by combining all these conditions or mathematical equations that we are getting. So this proportionality constant can be replaced with a constant, and that constant they found it to be mu 0 by 4 pi, where mu 0 is called as permeability of free space. Okay, so this is the magnitude of the magnetic field induction that they have found experimentally at a point P which is present at a distance of r. So this we call it as Biot-Savart law. So anyway, this is in terms of magnitude, but you already know that the magnetic field induction is a vector quantity. Okay, so since it is a vector quantity, I can write this dB in terms of vector notation also. If I write this dB in terms of vector notation, it becomes dB bar, which is in vector notation. I can write it as mu 0 by 4 pi I dl cross r by r cube. So this is the magnetic field induction at a point P which is present at a distance of r, which is written in terms of vector notation. So this is Biot-Savart's law. This topic is very important for your board examination. Many times they have asked to explain Biot-Savart's law, and this is what you have to write. Okay, so anyway, this is dB, which is the magnetic field induction that is produced at a distance of smaller from current element, right, length element. So now to find the total magnetic field induction due to this entire wire, what you do, you just integrate this equation. You just integrate this equation and take the limits. Okay, that's it. This is Biot-Savart's law. So let me erase everything and let us just move on to our next topic, which is B due to a straight conductor of length L carrying current. Okay, sometimes this question is also asked in another way. They may be asking you to find the magnetic field induction due to an infinite straight conductor carrying current. Okay, so that means these conditions we will discuss at the end of this topic, but anyway, so let us assume that there is a wire. As you already know, what is Biot-Savart's law? Biot-Savart's law gives the relation of magnetic field that is produced around a current carrying conductor in terms of current, right? So that Biot-Savart's law helps us to determine the magnetic field induction due to any wire, due to any current carrying wire, and our topic is here to determine the magnetic field induction due to a straight conductor of length L carrying current. So this is what we are going to determine now. So anyway, let us assume that this is our current carrying wire which is straight. So this is the system. Okay, so let us assume that the current is flowing in upward direction, and let the current that is flowing in this wire is taken as I, and let the length of this wire is taken as capital. So this is a straight conductor of length capital L carrying current I. So now our aim is to determine the magnetic field induction due to this system by using Biot-Savart's law. Okay, so how do we determine? We already tried to understand a little bit in our last slide. To find the magnetic field induction, you have to choose a small element in this wire which is dl. Okay, and whatever the magnetic field induction at a particular point that you get is written as dB, and once you integrate that equation, you get the total magnetic field, right? So a little bit you know how do we determine it, but mathematically how to determine, how to find the magnetic field induction, due to this entire straight conductor carrying current having length capital L. How do we find and what is the derivation part? All those things we try to understand. Anyway, so let us assume that this is the point P where I want to find the magnetic field induction. So first of all, I have to choose a point where I want to find the magnetic field induction. This is important, right? So this is our current carrying wire, and to find the magnetic field, first of all you need to choose a point P, right? So I have chosen this point P now, which is present at a distance of capital R. So this is the perpendicular distance of this point P from the current carrying wire. So please check it out. Capital R is the distance, perpendicular distance of the point P from current carrying wire. So this is perpendicular distance, so that you try to get it. So that means the angle between the current carrying wire and capital R will be 90 degrees. So that you try to get it. Okay, so I have chosen the point P. Next, what else? So let us choose that. Let us choose a small length element in this current carrying wire. It can be chosen anywhere. Okay, it can be chosen anywhere. You can choose the length element here, here, here also you can choose. Here also you can choose. Choice is yours. You can choose anywhere. But I have chosen here. So let us assume that this is the length element that I have chosen on this current carrying wire. And the length element is taken by dl. Okay, I have taken that length element as dl now. And the next one, let us assume that the length element is present at a distance of small l from O here. What is O here? O is the intersecting point that you are getting on the current carrying wire due to joining the points O and P, right? So that means this is the perpendicular bisector or the shortest distance that you are getting by drawing a line from current carrying wire to P, right? And this intersecting point we call it as O now, and the distance of this length element from O is taken by small l. Okay, and what else? So let us take, remember, I hope you remember Biot-Savart's law, right? So in case of Biot-Savart's law, we have taken small r. What is small r? Small r is the distance of point P from the length element. Okay, so let us assume that this is the line that is joining the length element and point P, and the distance is taken as small r. So the distance of point P from the length element is small r here, and let us assume that the angle between this length element and small r is taken by theta. So this construction, whatever the terminology that we are taking here, they already have come in our previous slide, so that try to understand it. Okay, and the next one, so anyway, further terminology I have taken here. So I have chosen that means I have taken the angle between small r and capital R by alpha here. Okay, fine, that's it. So you are getting a right angle triangle here, so please check it out. SOP is a right angle triangle that you are getting here. I am just mentioning it here because the derivation part, that means in derivation we are going to use the Pythagoras theorem also. Okay, so anyway, now let us assume that the magnetic field induction at point P due to this length element is taken as dB. Okay, the magnetic field induction at point P due to this length element is dB. So try to find the equation of dB, and after that apply that means do the integration, you get the total magnetic field. This is what we are going to do now. So now by using Biot-Savart's law, we try to find the magnetic field induction dB. Okay, at point P due to this length element. So what is Biot-Savart's law? You already know that. This is Biot-Savart's law, which is dB. I can write it as mu 0 by 4 pi I dl cross r by r cube. I can write this equation as mu 0 by 4 pi I, and dl cross r is the cross product of dl and r, right? You know that a cross b is ab sin theta. You already know this formula, right? Dot product, cross product, and also on such thing. So now dl is a vector quantity and r is also a vector quantity, and the angle between them is theta. So now dl and r I can write it as dl r sin theta. So this is the equation that I get. And now 1 r gets cancelled. Since 1 r gets cancelled, here in denominator you will have small r square. So this is the magnitude of the magnetic field induction dB that arises at point P due to this dl. So this is the formula that I get for dB. Anyway, so before doing the integration part, we need to simplify it. Okay, so that we try to do here. So let us assume that the magnetic field induction at point P, and due to this is what we already have taken, that is dB is the magnetic field induction at point P due to dl. Okay, and to find the total magnetic field induction, what you do is that you just do integration. Okay, so if integration is applied on both sides, you get integral dB as B, and on right hand side you get integral mu 0 by 4 pi ideal sin theta by r square. But you cannot do the integration part so easily here. We have to simplify it. Anyway, you can apply integration here itself. So now mu 0 by 4 pi is taken out because it's a constant. If I take it out, I is also a constant. So if I take it out, I get mu 0 I by 4 pi integral dl sin theta by r square. So this is the equation that we get. And let us take this equation as equation number 1. And from triangle SOP, as I already told you, SOP is a right angle triangle, right? So from triangle SOP, so this is theta. Okay, the angle between DL and R is theta, right? So since it is theta, this angle is going to be pi minus theta. This is pi minus theta, 180 minus theta. So apply the formula of sine 180 minus theta here in this right angle triangle. So if I apply sine 180 minus theta, by the formula of sine theta, opposite side by hypotenuse, it becomes sine of pi minus theta becomes, opposite side is capital R, right? And hypotenuse is becoming smaller. So sine 180 minus theta, I can write it as capital R by small r. But you know that from trigonometric formulas, sine 180 minus theta is nothing but sine theta. So you know this formula, right? So I can write sine 180 minus theta is sine theta, and from the right angle triangle we get sine theta or sine 180 minus theta as capital R by small r. And also from the right angle triangle SOP, by using Pythagoras theorem, we can write it as L square plus capital R square is equal to small r square. This is Pythagoras theorem, right? So this is hypotenuse r, and the other two sides are having the values of capital R and small l. And hence by using Pythagoras theorem, I can write this equation, which is shown here in equation number 3. You can see here L square capital R square, I can write it as, which is equal to small r square. So let us take equation number 2 and 3 here. So if you observe carefully, in equation number 1 we have sine theta, and also r square, you have small r square. So you have to substitute 2 and 3 in equation number 1, that's it. And after substituting it, we do the derivation part. So anyway, substituting, first of all substituting 2 in 1, what we get, so please check it. This is equation number 1, right? We get B as mu 0 I by 4 pi integral dl sin theta by r square. So I can write B as mu 0 I by 4 pi integral dl sin theta by r square, right? But in place of sin theta, we are writing capital R by small r. So this is what we have done. So this becomes mu 0 I by 4 pi integral dl by small r square capital R by small r. So this becomes r dl, and in denominator we get small r square into r. So that means you get r cube here. So since capital R is constant here, you can take it out. If you do so, you get mu 0 I capital R by 4 pi integral dl by r cube. So let us take this equation as 4. But we know that from equation number 3, L square plus capital R square is r square, right? Small r square. So I can write this equation as small r is equal to capital R square plus L square to the power of 1 by 2. So this is the formula of small r, which we are getting it from equation number 3. So if you substitute equation number 5 in 4, what you are going to get? You are going to get B as mu 0 I capital R by 4 pi, and in integration part you get dl as it is, and in place of r cube, small r cube, you get this. You have to substitute small r here in equation number 4. So if I do so, I get capital R square plus L square to the power of 1 by 2 whole to the power of 3. So this is the equation that we get here. So if you simplify it, you get mu 0 I capital R by 4 pi integral dl by r square plus L square to the power of, this is 1 by 2 and to the power of 3, right? A power m to the power of n, I can write it as a power m into n, right? So if I use that formula, I get r square plus l square to the power of 3 by 2. So this is the equation that we get here. And the next one, this is equation number 6 that I have taken. But even now it's not so easy to simplify. So to simplify it, what you have to do is that you have to come to the diagram part again. So I have taken the angle between small r and capital R as alpha, right? So in this equation, you know that tan alpha, what is tan? Tan is opposite side by adjacent side, right? So if I apply the formula of tan alpha, you get opposite side as L and adjacent side as R. So that means I can write tan alpha is equal to L by capital R. From that I can write small l as R tan alpha. So that means we have to assume that. So let us assume that L is taken as R tan alpha. Okay, so if I take L as R tan alpha, if you differentiate it, what you get? You get dl is equal to R. Differentiation of tan is a secant square alpha and d alpha. So this is the equation that I get. Okay, in equation number 8. So now substitute 7 and 8 in equation number 6. This is 7. Remember, to simplify it, there is L and dl here. So to simplify it, we are taking L as R tan alpha here. And once you have taken as L, which is equal to R tan alpha, from this you also get dl. So now in this equation number 6 we have L and dl, and from numbers from equation number 7 and 8 we have L and dl again. Substitute these two terms in equation number 6. If you do so, you get B is equal to mu 0 I capital R by 4 pi integral, and this dl becomes this one. And okay, so equation number 6 is written as it is here, just for simplicity. Okay, that means this step is repeated, but you can directly write it down. Anyway, so equation number 6 is taken here, right? So now I can write B as mu 0 I capital R by 4 pi integral, and dl is what? dl is from equation number 8. I can write in place of dl as I can write this dl as from equation number 8 R secant square alpha d alpha divided by, and what else we have here in denominator? You have capital R square plus L square. We have L square here, right? And from equation number 7, if you substitute L in place of L square, what you get? You get R tan alpha whole square, and you have whole to the power of 3 by 2. You just write it as it is. I am just erasing everything. So this is the equation that we get here. Okay, so now simplify this one. If I simplify it, what you get here? So check it. Mu 0 I, and there is one more R here. If this R comes out, you get mu 0 I capital R square by 4 pi. In integral part, you get secant square alpha d alpha by capital R square plus, and this is R tan alpha square, right? So since you have R tan alpha square, you get it becomes R square tan square alpha to the power of 3 by 2. So if R square is taken common in denominator, what you get this one repeats as it is. So there is no change in the coefficient of this integration, and whatever the terms that are there, you just it's simple mathematics. Okay, you keep on solving this one. That's it. Anyway, in denominator we have R square here, which is common. Take it out. If I take it out, I get R square in brackets 1 plus tan square alpha to the power of 3 by 2. Okay, so now this R square can be taken out, but before taking out there is a power term here, so that also you need to solve here. So now this becomes mu 0 I capital R square by 4 pi. Okay, so what do we have here? R square to the power of 3 by 2. We were having this term, so substitute. That means write it. That means R square has to be taken out of that bracket. If I do so, I get this as R square to the power of 3 by 2, and in numerator we were having secant square alpha d alpha. Write it as it is, and in denominator we get 1 plus tan square alpha to the power of 3 by 2. But anyway, so if you observe carefully here, in this case this square gets cancelled, and hence you get R cube here. Okay, this term remains as it is, and secant square alpha d alpha remains as it is, but here 2 gets cancelled, right? And hence you get capital R cube here, and you know that 1 plus tan square alpha is secant square alpha. Substitute that. If you do so, this is the equation that I get now. and since this is capital R cube, if it comes out, you get what do you get? You get R square by R cube, right? Out of R cube, R square gets cancelled, and hence you get here mu 0 I by 4 pi capital R, and in integration part you have in numerator as secant square alpha d alpha, and in denominator you have secant square alpha whole to the power of 3 by 2, and hence this square gets cancelled again, and hence you get secant cube alpha now in denominator. So this mu 0 I by 4 pi r remains as it is, and in integral inside the integration now what happens, you have in numerator secant square alpha, and in denominator secant cube alpha. So out of this secant square alpha gets cancelled, and you get secant alpha now. So this is the equation that you get, but you know that 1 by secant is cos alpha, right? Or cos and secant, they are inverse, right? So inverse relation exists between them, and hence if secant, in place of secant, if I substitute 1 by cos, that cos move to numerator. So this is the equation that I get. So that means I can write d as mu 0 I by 4 pi r integral cos alpha d alpha. So now this is what I was speaking. So finally I have found the magnetic field induction in terms of alpha now. In terms of alpha. So this is the final equation that I have got. So if you do the integration by applying the limits, you automatically get the final value, final formula. Okay. So now applying the limits is important here. Applying the limits is important. Okay. So how do we apply the limits here? So remember, this is integration with respect to alpha, right? This is integration with respect to alpha. So where is alpha now? Alpha is nothing but the angle between small r and capital R. This is alpha. So here I have taken alpha, that means the limits as minus theta 2 to theta 1. So what is this minus theta 2 to theta 1? That you try to understand here. So now what you do is that you join a line from P to A. Okay, P to A. You join a line from P to A, and after joining this, the angle between this capital R and this PA, I can take it as theta 1. I can take it as theta 1. This is theta 1. Okay, why I am taking theta 1? You need not be. That means you can take something else also, but I have taken here as theta 1. And similarly, join the line P and B now. Okay, so join points P and B with the help of a line. If I do so, I get a line now. Again from small capital R, you draw an angle here. So this is the angle that I have drawn, and I have taken this as theta 2. So this is theta 2. Okay, so theta 1 and theta 2 are the angles that you get when you join the point P to the point A and point P to the point B. So these are the angles that you get when you join point P and A and taking the angle of that PA to capital R. Okay, similarly join point P and B and take the angle of that PB to from capital R, you get theta 2. So why we are taking like this? So that you have to understand. Remember, so this is the length element that we have chosen, right? Let me take the arrow here. So this is the length element that I have chosen. So at the beginning of the class I told you that the length element can be anywhere. Okay, the length element can be anywhere from A to B. Okay, from A to B. So this length element can be present at A, and this length element can be present at B also. So that means if you apply the limits, the length element can be anywhere from the region of theta 1 to region of theta 2 in terms of angle. So that means the positive, that means on the upper from capital R, from O, if I take this angle as theta 1, which is positive, and this length of the current carrying wire is on the negative side, right, and hence I take it as minus theta 2. So these are the limits that we are going to get. So minus theta 2 to theta 1. So you know that integral cos alpha is sin alpha, and applying the limits theta 1 and minus theta 2 here, you get a sin theta 1 minus sin of minus theta 2. So you know that sin of minus theta is minus sin theta again, and if that minus comes out, you get plus of sin theta 2. So this is the equation that we get in that means in brackets and the final value of magnetic field induction will be mu 0 I by 4 pi capital R, and in bracket you get sin theta 1 plus sin theta 2. So this is the magnetic field induction due to a current carrying wire of finite length capital L. So there will be different cases. The length of the wire can be infinite, and that means the different cases arises in this concept, and if you substitute those different cases, the magnetic field induction will be different for different cases. All those things we discuss in our next video lesson. Okay, thank you. We will stop now.